Hello everyone, my name is Alice Montgomery and I am presenting Chapter 24 in the Advanced Nursing Research Textbook written by Ruth Tappan. This chapter will focus on preparing research proposals. The objectives that we're focusing on throughout this presentation, we're going to define a thesis and a dissertation, identify the difference and describe the characteristics of two major research proposals, discuss suggestions and guidance opportunities in preparing research proposals, identify the variety of funding sources, explain the special considerations for qualitative research proposals. So let's talk about the difference between thesis and dissertation proposals and funding proposals. According to Penn State Graduate Writing Center, the purpose of a thesis or dissertation proposal is explaining the plan for the research project to an academic committee to show that the research can contribute to existing knowledge on a topic and that the student can conduct such a well-organized research within a timely manner. A funding proposal is self-explanatory as it involves the research presenting their topic for monetary support, such as a grant, to carry out their research. However, this proposal can be difficult and requires many specific details for the funders to support the study. There is a difference between a thesis and a dissertation. A thesis is a research study proposal submitted at the end of a master's program, and it focuses on a research topic, then analyzed and discussed in depth on a specific topic that the researcher will be interested in. A dissertation utilizes others' research knowledge to conduct their own hypothesis, theory, or concept, and it is submitted at the end of a doctorate program. Tappan focuses more on the components of a dissertation in this chapter, and it includes an introduction, a literature review, and a methods chapter for a proposal. The introduction will start off with a problem statement, area of interest, research question, or a hypothesis, depending on the type of study. A theoretical framework will be addressed, as well as the significance of the research. And lastly, limitation and gaps in knowledge in the study will be identified and explain how it will be addressed. The literature review will consist of existing research on that specific topic. The methods chapter will be discussed in great detail because it will be evaluated by the reader for appropriateness. The aspects of this chapter include the study's design, whether it be quantitative, qualitative, or mixed. It would also include the specific design, sample information, participant recruitment, data collection plan, identification of the treatment and control groups, the intervention testing process, and a data analysis. Tappan explores the many opportunities for students to utilize as it will guide their process in developing their thesis or dissertation proposal. First, the university has written guidelines for students to follow as they begin their proposal, and it is very important to become thoroughly familiar with them. Another resource to use is seeking advisement from each member of the committee, as they will be the ones determining the approval. Classmates who have gone through this process is another source of guidance. Try listening to the peers' past experiences and read their approved dissertations, and it will help you understand what the committee is looking for in a completed dissertation. Lastly, writing centers can be very helpful in repairing mistakes and assist with students that may have difficulty in writing. Even though the two proposals are asking approval for their research study, funding proposals require a different outlook on how to present it. First, funding proposals are contending with others to gain monetary support from the funder, as well as the funders are different than academic committees. They do not have the same knowledge or medical terminology, and so information that is usually known by the academic communities should be further explained for the funders. Another important aspect of gaining approval for research funds is the research question. The question should be novel, feasible, manageable, meaningful, and measurable. It is very important for the topic of the research to be greatly impactful because funders are looking for research that will create change. It is important to do the appropriate research in finding the right funder. Look to advisors and peers with experience in writing funding proposals for resources on finding these funders. Utilize the internet because sometimes written information may be outdated. Also, converse with these funders in person because it can be very useful in discussing the appropriateness and eligibility for their grants. Since we're talking about trying to find the right funder, let's discuss the many different funding sources out there. The first one is internal sources, and a lot of first-time funding proposal applicants will utilize this, and it's small funding amounts in the form of seed money grants, and this allows the investors to invest their money in return for a part in the research. The next one is professional association grants, and these come from specialty organizations such as the American Nursing Foundation, American Association of Critical Care Nurses, and etc. The next one is disease-specific organizations, and these can be beneficial to researchers who are focusing on a certain disease process. And some examples are the American Cancer Society or the Alzheimer's Association, etc. Private foundations, these come from large foundations that are quite interested in health-related topics, and some examples are the Kellogg Foundation and the March of Dimes. Corporate funders are decreasing in availability. They come from more pharmaceutical companies, and you don't see much out there, but they're still available. And then there are, if you're looking for large grants, you may want to look into federal agencies, and this includes National Institute of Health, the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, and so on. When first presenting the proposal, funders are wanting to hear that you have thoroughly thought out the plan of your research. It is important to include the research team, which is necessary to have a good team that can contribute experience and additional knowledge. Include the hurdles that can come into play and plan on how to resolve them. And mention your own experience, including education, employment, and past published research. The next important aspect to include is the creation of a budget. TAPN offers steps in how to create a budget. First, you want a list of all who will be a part of the research team and any monetary incentive for participants. Next, include the necessary equipment, tests, travel costs, software, and anything that will be utilized in the research, along with the cost of each item. Indirect costs includes the workplace, secretarial or administrative support, and maintenance. Explain the purpose of each item and person involved in the study. Estimate the amount of time each team member will have to complete their task. Utilize a financial consultant to help manage that budget. Look over the first draft and rediscover new ideas to cover things that may exceed the budget. And when you submit your finalized budget justification, also include agreement letters from every team member consultant because funders may require that. The description of the research environment is important for the funder because they may not be familiar at all with the type of work setting you're utilizing. The funders are looking for the agreement from companies and workplaces where you'll be carrying out your research. Also include library access, the experience of your research team, and the geographic and demographic of the community you are interested in. Lastly, funders may only offer their grants to nonprofit organizations, and they may require a 501c3 status. A 501c3 is an approved status that your research will gain personal benefits such as money. Another approval process funders are requiring is from the Institute Review Board to show that your research is ethical in protecting the rights of human subjects or animals, equal employment opportunities, and so forth. TAPN provides suggestions on how to prepare a funding proposal. The utmost important thing to remember is to follow the directions that are provided from that particular funder because small mistakes could lead to rejection. The proposal should be written clearly and easily readable, and the researcher should think about how terms are used. Furthermore, be consistent with terminology, as the use of multiple terms with the same meaning may confuse the reader. Funding proposals should showcase the desire behind the research topic and emphasize on the importance of it. Funders may approve proposals that the researchers are going to be passionate about because it may convey that the researcher will put forth effort in their study. Do not fill your proposal with over-the-top effects such as personal anecdotes, cute cartoons, and excessive design elements. Again, keep the proposal clean and simple and consider using appropriate graphs, figures, and/or lists to assist in narrating the research. Here is an example shown in the textbook representing the distribution and number of documented cases of occupational-acquired HIV among healthcare workers by occupation. The researcher also must include current research to show that the researcher is knowledgeable on that topic. A good idea is to submit a draft to an experienced researcher to gain feedback on mistakes that can cause rejection. There might be flaws that the applicant may not see, such as bad references, data that is not relatable to the topic, and poor use of hypotheses, methods, data collection, or analyzation. Finally, explore whether or not the funders want a brief proposal submitted before asking for a full proposal. Funders want to screen all applicants before narrowing down to the most promising research proposals. Funders are more familiar with quantitative design research, and this may come as a challenge as most funding sources may require a quantitative approach. However, there are a few suggestions in gaining the approval from funders on accepting qualitative research proposals. Tappan advised funding applicants to explain the reasoning behind choosing the qualitative design and how it could be more effective to gather research. Qualitative research has modified methods in obtaining data, so researchers should provide examples of those modifications and the benefits to the research. Trustworthiness is crucial in showing the reader, and in this case, the funders, that the researcher is eliminating bias from the research. Additionally, the researcher should report each detail of the qualitative process, as this design is more narrative than numerical, and there shouldn't be any confusion on the research process. To conclude, the task of writing research proposals can be quite difficult and exhausting, especially when revising and resubmitting multiple times. However, do not become discouraged and give up, because even the most experienced of researchers are denied approval too. The most important thing is the continuing of writing proposals only increases writing skills and experience. Remember, there are many resources to utilize in guiding and advising on what is necessary to complete that thesis, dissertation, or funding proposal, so use them. This is the end of the presentation. Thank you for your time.